Hello there. You are welcome once again to the Office Suite in Education course. We are done with the first block of this course, which was on word processing, which we used the Microsoft Word program to learn. In this block of the course, we are going to learn Spreadsheet, and we shall use the Microsoft Excel program to learn it. I hope that the break that was given to you was used in practicing, and where you had forgotten, revising all the concepts we learned in word processing. I hope that you would also give yourself and myself the needed time, and especially practice along this block that we are about to undertake. In this block, which is on Spreadsheet, we shall first of all be introduced to what Spreadsheet is. We shall learn all its preliminary concepts. We shall also learn how to create and manage what we will learn as formulas. Then we shall proceed to learning how to create and manage what we will later learn as functions. We will learn how to edit and format what we will later learn as worksheets. And then we shall move on to look at how we can keep normal records and manage those records in the Spreadsheet program. Finally, we shall learn how to create charts and print the contents of a worksheet, and then which may include the charts that we have created as well. Therefore, we start with our first topic, which is Introduction to Spreadsheet. Now, before we go ahead with the Spreadsheet, I want us to go into the business field a bit, specifically into accounting. Our friends who have the business background, who are taking this course, can relate very well to what I'm about to discuss. Now, you should know that the accounting department of every organization is normally in charge of organizing and managing the monetary affairs of those organizations. And these monetary affairs here, we are looking at they being in charge of the monies that the company or organization has. They are also in charge of all the monies that the company or organization owes by way of debt or whatever. They are also in charge of collecting or receiving all revenues that are coming to the organization. And then it is also in charge of how monies are spent, and even have a very good idea of the financial worth of those organizations that they are in charge of their accounting systems. Now, note that all these money issues that we have mentioned flow through what our accounting friends term as transactions. Now, note that, like any unit within an organization, every unit makes sure that records are kept. Information about their activities are kept. So our accounting departments also ensure that they keep the records of all the transactions that take place within the organization on several materials. And the most significant of these materials is the ledger book. Now, as you can see here, what you have on your screen is an example of an opened ledger book. Now, in this book, you see that we have various grid lines ruled vertically and horizontally. So we have this line and that line and that line. All these lines are horizontal lines ruled, and this and that and that and that are vertical lines that are ruled. Now, when two of the horizontal lines and two of the vertical lines meet, the space between those four lines is termed as a cell. That is, the intersection of these four lines forms what is known as a cell. Now, you notice that it is within these cells that our accounting officers enter various forms of transactions or information, or if I may say data. Okay, so you can see that we have several data entered here, several figures corresponding to these also entered here. So these are figures of the amounts that have been dispersed on something, or probably something that has been accrued, some amount that has been accrued as revenue within the organization. Now, you know that once these revenues or once these monetary data are entered, certainly they will be used to perform some calculations. So our accounting officers perform calculations, especially with the figures they enter, somewhere within the same ledger book that they have. So they can enter some figures here and probably come and perform some calculations with some of these figures over here and compute a result. So the result may be somewhere here. Now, the challenge is this. In the course of entering various figures for the purposes of especially computations, it could be that they may make mistake in the values of figures that they enter. It may also be that it may not be a mistake, but rather they want to change the figures to reflect what is on the ground. Now, the accounting officers need to make sure that whatever changes that are made in the figures, they go to wherever the results is computed, maybe the total of the, let's assume that these are expenditures. So if the totals of the expenditures is calculated in these cells and these figures are changed, the accounting officer needs to make sure that he or she recomputes the results. If not, the results here may differ from the values here, and that can be very serious and will have dark consequences for the organization, because the results may not be accurate. The electronic version of the accountant's ledger book that we have just discussed is called Spreadsheet. Just like ledgers have ruled grid lines intersecting to form boxes, Spreadsheet also contains ruled lines forming boxes. Unlike where the accounting officer performs all the calculations in Spreadsheet, the computer performs all the calculations. Unlike where the accounting officer must recompute a result when certain figures are changed, in Spreadsheet, the computer automatically recomputes the affected results once the figures concerned are changed. Unlike the manual ledger that is used to handle accounting data only, Spreadsheet can be used to organize different data in different professions, such as in the teaching profession. Therefore, in this lesson, we are going to be introduced to what Spreadsheet is. We shall endeavor to explain Spreadsheet. We shall look at the features of the Spreadsheet program. We shall navigate within the spreadsheet, that is, move within the spreadsheet. We shall learn how to select cells within the spreadsheet. We shall learn how to create what we will be learning as workbook. We will learn how to save that workbook. We shall learn the basics of cells. And then, finally, we shall learn about the spreadsheet data types. So, what is Spreadsheet? Spreadsheet is an electronic sheet made up of rows and columns intersecting into cells which are used to organize, analyze, calculate, and report information, usually in numerical form. Another definition that we can give to spreadsheet is that it is an electronic file in which data is arranged in rows and columns of a grid and can be manipulated and used in calculations. Yet another definition of spreadsheet is that it is a spreadsheet or worksheet is a file made of rows and columns that help us to sort data, arrange data easily, and calculate numerical values or data. But note that, as you shall later learn, it is not only numerical data. Okay, we can calculate to give out some results which may also be in a text form. How do we simplify all these definitions? You can simply say that a spreadsheet is an electronic sheet made up of cells in which we enter data mainly for computing some sort of results. Or you can say a spreadsheet contains rows and columns intersecting into cells into which data are entered for purposes as computing a result or performing analysis on the data. Once you have gotten to understand what spreadsheet is, what then are spreadsheet applications? Spreadsheet applications are simply programs containing rows and columns forming cells in which data are entered purposely to compute results, analyze some data, or generate some report. In other words, you can say spreadsheet applications are programs containing cells in which we enter data to compute results and for other purposes. There are several spreadsheet applications that you can find on the market. Examples of these spreadsheet applications are MS Excel, VisiCalc, Open Office Calc, Numbers, Lotus 123, Numeric, Quattro Pro, LibreOffice Calc. We have New Office Calc. We have Google Sheets, PySpread, and so on and so forth. The ones that are quite popular with people are the Microsoft Excel and Google Sheets. For the purposes of our study, as you have already learned, we will be learning the spreadsheet through the MS Excel program. And the version we are going to learn is the 2013 version. What are some of the uses of spreadsheet? There are several of them in different fields. Some of these uses are: 1, to maintain student grades. As you'll be teaching in school, at least you'll be asked to maintain the SBA, school-based assessment. You'll be asked to keep records of them. You'll be asked to also keep records and generate students' reports. As you will later learn how to create students' reports with the computer, we are no more using the paper one where we write the students' performance on the paper. No, we generate them on computers. Apart from that, our accounting friends use the spreadsheet to prepare financial statements. Spreadsheet can also be used to manage inventory. Spreadsheet can also be used to make forecasts We can even use spreadsheet to plan our household finances. Our accounting friends use the spreadsheet to also develop their business accounts and budgets. They generate invoices through spreadsheet and also handle the salary and wages issues, such as payroll issues of employees with spreadsheet. Spreadsheet can also be used to make predictions and simulations in different fields. It can also be used especially for our business friends to undertake what is known in their field as break-even analysis. Spreadsheet can also be used to make statistical analysis. For instance, if we are in a school and we want to know the school population and the various units within the school population, the quantity of those units, for instance, how many teachers are there, how many students are there, what is the population of the males, what is the population of the females. If we need to make such analysis, we can use spreadsheet to make that as well. Spreadsheet can be used to create various graphs or charts, such as pie chart, the bar graph, line graph, and so on and so forth. We can use spreadsheet to collect normal records. Okay, for instance, the phone numbers, the addresses of people, okay, the prices of products. We can use spreadsheet to organize all those records. Spreadsheet can also be used to explore and interpret data in order to draw various conclusions for businesses. Let us look at how we can launch the Microsoft Excel program. I hope you will be practicing along as we have started our practicing session. The procedure for launching the MS Excel program are given to us as follows. I am using the Windows 7 operating system, so the procedure will be within, the steps will be within that operating system, but it may vary in other programs, other operating systems. So the steps are given as follows. Step 1, click the Start button. 2, click All Programs. 3, scroll through and click Microsoft Office 2013. 4, click Excel 2013. A demonstration. We are asked to click the Start button, click All Programs, scroll through and click Microsoft Office 2013, and then finally you click Excel 2013. Once you click it, the program launches. Now, the files that, if you have created some files, the list of files that were recently opened will be displayed here. And you have the templates over here. I have explained what templates are in Microsoft Word to you, so I will not go over that again. For now, we will choose the blank workbook. So I will click that, and once I have clicked that, you have the Microsoft Excel programs environment displayed. We are going to look at the features of this program. I believe you are aware of the features up here, so I will not worry myself so much about them. Okay, we have the file tab, the quick access toolbar, the ribbon tabs, and so on and so forth. Where our focus is on is from this point. So we have this section known as the name box, and then we have the formula bar over here. Now this block, okay, these vertically ruled lines, these two lines over here, okay, form what is known as columns, and these horizontally ruled lines here form what is known as rows. And we said the intersection of the rows and columns is known as the cell. So a box within the spreadsheet program is termed as what? A cell. Then we have the active cell here. We will learn the meaning of that later. We have, the column headings here, and then we have the row headings over here as well. We have this, what is known as sheet tab, and then we have the add sheet button here. You remember the status bar, which was in Microsoft Word. You also remember the view options, okay? You have the zoom controls as we learned, and then we have the scroll bars, the vertical and horizontal scroll bars. Alright, so let's look at the various features identified. As I told you, I would not be explaining what we have already covered in Microsoft Word, but I'll give you a brief moment for you to read these just to refresh your memory. That is on the quick access toolbar, title bar, file tab, and then the ribbon. You read the information as presented here. Okay, let's move on to the formula bar. As you can see from here, this is our formula bar. Okay. Now, the formula bar is The formula bar usually displays the formula used to compute a result in the active cell. Data in an active cell can also be edited from the formula bar. So when you enter what we will be learning as formula, when you enter that formula and you compute a result, and you click the cell containing that result, you will see the formula that was used in computing that result in the formula bar. But if a cell does not contain a computed result, but some sort of data, you rather see that data displayed in the formula bar. But the main purpose of the formula bar is to first of all display formulas used to compute a results, and also allow us to modify the formulas or the contents found in an active cell. Then we have the name box. This is the name box. What is the purpose of the name box? The name box displays the location or name of a selected cell. That is, the name box displays the name of a cell that has been selected, or a name that has been assigned to a particular block of cells. You have already been acquainted with what rows and columns and cells are. Now, a row is made up of horizontal group of cells which are identified with numerical headings. So as you can see from here, all these are rows, and each row is assigned a numerical heading. Columns. Column is made up of a vertically group of cells which are identified with letter headings. So we have columns here, and each column has a letter heading. We also identified cells. A cell is formed from the intersection of a column and a row. That is, the intersection of a column and a row is termed as a cell. Then, what is an active cell? An active cell is the cell which is currently being worked in by the user. That is, the cell that you are performing an activity in becomes the active cell. So if I click here and I start typing something here, this particular cell with the border around it becomes the active cell. Why? Because I am performing an activity in it currently. And you notice that whatever I have entered in this cell, that content also displays in the formula bar. Then we have the cell content. Note that whatever is typed into a cell becomes that cell's content. So the information contained or data contained in the cell is termed as the content, the cell content. For scroll and vertical, for vertical and scroll bars, you know their purposes. They are used for moving within our worksheet. The status bar too, you know that it gives general information about the current state of the worksheet that is in use. So then what is a worksheet? A worksheet is made up of a page of cells. So a page of cells all put together form what is known as a worksheet. Therefore, this, what we have here, all the cells we have here, put together form a worksheet. Then we have a workbook. A workbook is made up of worksheets. So a number of sheets put together or created, all put together form what is known as a workbook. Now note that the name of the file we create in spreadsheets, spreadsheet programs, are also referred to as workbooks. Why? Because a workbook contains what? The worksheets. Then we have what is known as the sheet tabs. This is a sheet tab. Let me add another sheet here. This is also known as a sheet tab. So within our workbook, we have two worksheets. Can click this and then I'm in the first worksheet. What is the purpose of the sheet tab? A sheet tab bears the name of the particular worksheet in a workbook. The sheet tabs are navigational tools used to move to particular worksheets in a workbook. Then we have the worksheet views. When we say these are buttons used for viewing the worksheets in different ways. This one should not be document, sorry. We are not in Microsoft Word. So this is worksheet. And of course, you know the zoom controls. The zoom controls are used for magnifying or reducing the contents of a document on a screen for better viewing and reading. Now let us look at how we move from how we move within our worksheets. Okay, so this is a worksheet. We are within our worksheet. If I want to move to any particular cell using the mouse, I'll just move the mouse pointer to that cell and then click it. Okay, so that's how we move within our worksheet using the mouse. You can scroll with the mouse as you know already. Okay, all right, now let us look at how we can use the keyboard to move within the worksheet. The up arrow key, when pressed, moves to the cell adjacent above the active cell. Down arrow key moves to the cell adjacent below the active cell. Right arrow key moves to the cell adjacent right to the active cell. Left arrow key moves to the cell adjacent left the active cell. A demonstration. So this is our active cell. If I press the up arrow key, the cell that is above the active cell is now made the active cell. For this was the active cell. So when I press the up arrow key, this cell above here was made the active cell. If I press the left arrow key, the cell next on the left side becomes the active cell. If I press the right arrow key, what do you see? The cell next on the right side becomes the active cell. If I press the down arrow key, the cell beneath the active cell now becomes the active cell. When the enter key is pressed, it moves to the cell adjacent below the active cell. That is the cell that is beneath the current active cell. When the enter key is pressed, becomes the active cell. So if let's say I am here and I press the enter key, it's like pressing the down arrow key. Each enter I press makes the next cell beneath the active cell. Okay. If I press the page down key, what happens? It displays the next set of cells below the cells on the screen. Should I press the page up? Page down was the first one. So if I press the page down key, the cells, it will display the next set of cells below the cells displayed on the screen. If I press the page up key, it displays the set of cells above cells displayed on the screen. So what are we saying here? Currently, these cells are displayed. If I press the page down key, the cells that were displayed formerly are moved up for the cells that were below now to display on the screen. So now you see what? From rows 24 to row 46. But if I press up, page up, you see that what was currently displayed is shifted down for what is now above what was displayed to now display on the screen. Then we have the home key. What happens when we press the home key? It makes the first cell in column A on the row in which the current active cell is found to become the active cell. Let me read again. When the home key is pressed, it makes the first cell in column A on the row in which the current active cell is found to become the active cell. So if, let's say, I am here at this point and I press the home key, in wherever the active cell was, irrespective of the row, okay, if let's say we are on this row and I press the home key, the cell found on column A for that row will become the active cell. I hope you are getting me. If you are on this row and you press home, this one will no more be the active cell, but rather once you press it, the first cell on column A on that row becomes the active cell. Then we have control and home key. When you press it, what happens? It makes the first cell of the entire worksheet as the active cell. So if let's say I am on this row here, let me put this side by side. Yeah, this is okay. So if let's say I'm over here and I press Control and Home key, what happens? The first cell within the worksheet is made the active cell. If I press Control and End key, what happens? Makes the first cell of the entire worksheet as active cell. No, this should not be it. Control End. Now what happens is when you press Control End, the last cell that an activity was performed in within the worksheet becomes the active cell. So you notice that I typed something here, an activity was performed in here. So when I press Control End, the last cell that an activity, Control and End, sorry, when I press Control and End, the last cell that an activity has been performed in becomes the active cell. If I press Control and right arrow it makes the last cell of a row in use as the active cell. So let me press Control right arrow. What has happened? It has moved to the last cell of a row, which is what? XFD. If I press Control and left, it moves, it makes the first cell on a row as the active cell. If I press Control and down arrow key, it makes the last cell in a row and column as the active cell. So Control End. This one should be corrected. Sorry. So this one should read as, when you press Control and End, Control and down arrow key, it makes the last cell in a column as the active cell. So this is our last cell here. So you notice that we have how many rows currently? You can see that we have, is it 10,000? My mathematics is a bit challenging. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So 1,448,576 rows within this version of Excel program. Let me press the Control up arrow key. When I press Control up arrow key, you notice that the first cell in a column becomes the active cell. So here, if I click this and I press down arrow, Control down arrow key, you see that the last cell within the column becomes the active cell. If I press Control up, the first cell within the column becomes the active cell. Okay. And then when you press the tab key, tab key on your keyboard, the next cell on the right becomes the active cell. Okay, we are done with how to move within our worksheet. Now let us look at how we select cells within a worksheet. Okay, so click on a cell to select it. Once you select it, it means you have made it the active cell. You can use your keyboard, or you can use your key. Once you click, it means you are using your mouse. But you can also use your keyboard keys that we have identified to select individual cells. To select a range, select a cell, and then with the left mouse button pressed, drag over the other cells. Let me show you. Let's say I want to select this cell up to this cell. I want to select all these cells. Now when cells are adjacent to one another and once they are together, we call them as a range. So if I want to select from here up to this cell, from this cell up to that cell, what I'll do is I'll click the first cell and then press and hold the left mouse button and then drag it to the last cell of what I want to select. Let's say I'm at this point and I want to select all the cells here. Simple, I'll just have to press and hold on the left mouse button on the first cell and then drag it down. And once I drag down whilst the left mouse button is still pressed, I have selected a range. To select non-adjacent cells and cell ranges, hold Ctrl and select the cells. So if, let's say, I want to select this, that, and that, you see that they are not adjacent to one another. What I'll do is I'll click the first one, press the Ctrl key on my keyboard, then come and click the next one, and then come and click the next one. So you notice that these are the selected cells. They are not adjacent cells. They are individual cells. I can even press and select a range here. Okay? So these are the selected cells using the keyboard and mouse. Select one or more rows and columns. Select, if you want to select a column, an entire column, what you do is you have to select that column's, you just have to click that column's heading. Okay, so to select this entire column, this column here, I'll just click the heading. And once I click the heading, this column is selected. If I want to select this row here, this entire row, I'll just click that row's heading here. And once I click it, the entire row is selected. To select non-adjacent rows or columns, hold the Ctrl key and select the rows or column numbers. Okay, so let's say I want to select this column, that column, and that column. What I'll do is I'll click the first column heading, press the Ctrl key, and then click the next column heading. Then click, whilst my finger is still pressed on the Ctrl key, remember, I'll click the next one. So I've selected these columns. If I want to select a number of rows which are not adjacent to another, the same process. Press the first, click the first column's heading. That is the column I want to select, its heading. Press Ctrl and then click the next one, click the next one's column heading, click the next one's column heading. So I've selected, oh dear God, row heading, sorry. Click the next one's row heading, row heading, row heading. So I've selected these rows. I don't know why I've become so used to columns. Columns they are stuck in my mouth. All right, let's go on. To select a list or table, select a cell in the list or table and press Ctrl A. So if you want to select the entire cells, you just press Ctrl A and all the cells are selected. That is what it was sought to do. I don't know why I placed it. To select the entire, all the cells, okay? That's what it's supposed to. We can also use this one here, the select all button, to select the entire cells. Okay. I think we are drawing a bit closer. Yeah, before we go to the next one, let's take a break, and then we shall come back. About 30 minutes break. We shall come back and continue.